This shiur is dedicated for the refuah shlema of Chaya Zoya bat Devorah. You can add if you want. Orit bat Marusa, Avigal ben Yael, Bechor ben Penir, and for the good parnasa and wealth and abundance of Ilan ben Etzion, Rachamim ben Eliezer, Feigel Rachel bat Reuven Lev, Ari ben Bechor, and the Hatzlacha of Daniel ben Ishmael. Ulehavdil leilui nishmat Miriam bat Frecha, Rachamim ben Mashiach, and Yosef ben Sarah.
Rafael Cohen ben Tamara.
Rafael Cohen ben Tamara. Moshe ben Ugul.
Liza bat Sarah.
Liza bat Sarah. Yofi. Our parasha deals with one thing. God's commandment to Moshe, is Parashat Terumah, of course, to build the Mishkan. At the beginning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands Moshe to gather from all Bnei Israel Terumah. Terumah means a donation for the building of the Mishkan. The Torah commands on the collections of various materials. Some of them are very precious. Actually, I think all of them are precious. Most of them are precious. Zahav, gold, kesef, silver, nechoshet, copper, different skins, animal skins, different dyes. Dyes were very expensive. Jewels, essential oils, fragrant oils, and olive oil. After that, we have one by one the exact instructions of how to build the Mishkan and the Kelim. And it goes like this: Aron Abrit, the Aron, HaKaporet, that comes to cover it, Shulchan Lechem Apanim, the golden table where they put those loaves of bread, the menorah, the Yeriot, Karshei Mishkan, Ha'adanim, Haparochet, Mizbeach HaNechoshet, the golden, the copper altar, Kalei HaChatzer, and so on and so forth. And in regards to that, it also says the precise materials in which those should be built and their measurements. That's the parasha. Very, very meticulous orders of how to do this avodah. And of course, there's always some questions, many questions, some questions that are decided to try to expand, some more than the others, are, for example, what does it mean when it says "Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham," and they should build a temple for me, and I would dwell among them? It doesn't make sense grammatically. It should say "ve'shachanti betocho." It should make me a temple, and I would dwell inside of it, not inside of them. Why are Bnei Israel commanded to build the Mishkan with such precise detail, especially given the fact that the Mishkan, upon divine order, will be packed, put into carts, carried over from one place to another for 40 years, some places more than the other, but for 40 years, what's the point? You're giving me precise measurements and so on, for what? It's mobile. What's the inyan on that? Why is it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us Vayikhu li Terumah, and they will take Terumah to me? This is not really how you ask. You should really say, and they should give, they should not take. And if there is any connection whatsoever between building the Mishkan and Ma'aser, giving 10% of your proceeds to the building of the Mishkan. In this parasha, the Torah again tells us exactly what Kadosh Baruch Hu wants for us to build and which is the Mishkan in the desert and in Eretz Israel until the Mikdash, of course, will be built few hundred years after that. So they followed that example from the 40 years to the Midbar, almost 400 years after that order was kept. And we should be aware that every detail, which is a very difficult thing, every detail in building a Mishkan, every process in building a Mishkan teaches us on spiritual work, avodah ruchanit, spiritual work that each and every one of us has to do of building his own personal Mishkan, tabernacle inside of him. Each and every one. Every one of those kelim, the utensils in which to use, the menorah, the kior, shulchan, their location represents an internal process. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ve'asu li mishkan, ve'shachanti betocham," and they would make that place, and I would dwell among them. It says betocham ve'lo betocho, as we said previously. In other words, that the Shekhinah, the holy Shekhinah, is not only in a physical structure among us or with physical objects. It's called Mishkan because it's inside of each and every Jew as well. The Shekhinah is in each and every one of us as well. One of the things that the Torah commands us to do is build the Mishkan from what we call Atzei Shitim. ועשיתם את הקרשים למשכן, עצי שיטים עומדים. Chazal tells us that the word shitim comes from the word shtut. Shtut means nonsense. Shitim, shtut. Therefore, what's the remez, what's the hint of building the Mishkan from Atzei Shitim? The answer, according to Baalei Musar, Baalei Chassidut, and of course based on Kabbalah, is that in order to include and to enter Kedusha, holiness, in your life, in order to enter and to allow the penetration of wisdom in your life, a person must give up the ruach shtut, this nonsense spirit that resident inside of him. In other words, one must mature. One must mature and take those powers, the spiritual powers that are inside of him, and to root them into a positive action that has a meaning also. It's very important to pay attention that it has to be positive and has a meaning. You have to find the meaning, not only to designate this is a good deed, this is a bad deed, so okay, so I'll just do that. You have to find the good deeds that also have a meaning in you, and if there's meaning to you, and if there's no meaning to you, you must find it. Because if there is no meaning in your actions, you're just doing it because you're doing it mechanically, what will happen is that what? What will happen? Nothing will happen because you won't do it. You'll do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. First chance you have, throw it out of the window. You would not do it. So therefore it has to be good and it has to be meaningful. You might have a good job, but if that job is not meaningful to you, it will be very hard for you to execute, to do the job, to be mitchaber, to connect yourself to asiyah, to doing. We have to do things. Chazal were very big on not sitting idle, doing nothing. You have to do something. Again, not to become obsessive about it, but to always be involved in building, in doing things. To give up that ruach shtut inside of us, that exists in each one of us, that means to mature, to grow up. You don't want to see a 40, 50-year-old man who somewhere along the line is stuck in his, I don't know, late teens, 17, 18 years old, and hasn't been developed from there. He still likes to do the things that he did that I thought were important at 17 and 18 years old. I'm going to tell you something, guys. Girls don't like it. Women are looking to marry men, not oversized babies. Take that into account next time you go on a date. So we need to understand that we have a tafkid, we have a job in the world to do. And that time that we here, the reason that we here is not to pass the time doing absolutely nothing, hevel verik. Because hem mishtachavim lehevel verik. They bow down to nothing. Don't pass your time. Time is the greatest possession that you were giving. You don't even have it. You were giving. Don't waste your time on nonsense. I am not a big advocate of lavish vacations, going places. I don't know, going to, where are you going to go? Caribbeans. Aruba, you said?
Miami.
Aruba.
Cancun.
If you are going to go, for example, Cancun, a bunch of Mexicanos. If you're already going to go on vacation with your wife, which you should, dedicate it to recreate a certain magic that somewhere along the line gets washed away as years go by. Enhance it. Go. Let your relationship develop. Don't go, you're 40, 50, 30 to these vacations that all you do is you're going with your wife. You're sitting at the beach or sitting at the pool looking at other women. What's the point? Might as well go to work. There's no point in that. You need to put meaning in your life. You need to feel your life, to saturate, to give him a jolt of meaning to your relationship, to your life. You don't need to fill your life with an illusion of lavishness and the life of the rich and famous. You need to think about this very carefully. That's called maturing. That's becoming more wise. We have to understand that being mature is taking a full responsibility for our actions and all our doings throughout our lives. You would not get into a car, put the car in neutral, downhill, and then jump to the passenger seat. If we are such control freaks, and we always try to control others, why won't we start with controlling ourselves? We have to remember that. We need to understand that our lives, of all of us, is full of challenges, an ongoing set of challenges that are not always easy. And as a matter of fact, most of the time, are not easy. They're not simple. True wisdom is to give up on this child inside of you. That non-adult entity inside of you. Not that one who has a childish grace to it. For example, don't give up when you were young, or we were young. I think I'm getting old. We had great powers of imagination. Our imaginations took us places and allow us to become, at least in theory, what we should have become. One of the reasons that we don't become what we thought we would be is because we killed, we murdered, massacred our imagination. I'm not talking about that child in us. I'm talking about getting rid of the child inside of you that, and again, I'm not talking about the child that laughs, that has the joy of life. I'm talking about the kid inside of you that is looking for pleasures and being pampered. Liot mefunak, that spoiled brat that exists in each and every one of us. And we all have a spoiled brat inside of us. When I was a kid, I don't remember, it's very bad. I think it was Leah Goldberg. She was an Israeli poet. She wrote a book about kids. And the name of the book is Hayeled Hara Shebetochi. It's not me, it's the bad kid in me. Yes, it's not a schizophrenic book for kids, but it's rather a realization that there is a bad entity inside of us, that it's not really us. We need to get that under control. That brat inside of us. We need to understand that we have to execute everything that is asked for us in simcha, in joy. Being completely connected to the target, being dedicated to the target, committed to the task that we were given. Judaism talks about self-education. Who is there?
Avraham.
Who? Hey, Avraham. Judaism talks about self-education from a clear realization that Yetzer ha'adam ra mineurav. A person has this bad, as I said, the spoiled brat inside of us, that immature entity inside of all of us, that exists all the time, and I'll show you how it plays, that still did not give up that ruach shtut, this sense of nonsense inside of us. That one inside of us that doesn't feel, that feels usually that he's like a sucker when his wife makes him take the garbage out. That he does the cheshbon, you took the garbage 3 days, I took it 4 days, it's not right. You know, it doesn't realize why is he doing that. My question to a guy like this is, excuse me, let me ask you a question. Why is she taking it 3 times altogether? What's your problem? Aren't we all doing this for one thing, so we can establish a home, so we can establish a functional family? And you'll see, Be'ezrat Hashem, that most of the problems in marriage comes from that. Lack of communication, lack of maturity, selfishness. We are looking for the man who doesn't feel that he's getting the short end of the stick when the baby is crying and his wife is sleeping and he has to get up, or he finds the power in him to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to change the kid's diaper. We're not looking for this person. To be mature, to be an adult, is to understand what is important and what is not important in life. Ma'ikar u'matafel. I told you before, I have a little theory. To many people, that set of halachot in brachot, that we have a combination of ingredients, which bracha we make. A lot of people have a problem determining what is the main ingredient here, and alongside with that, which bracha to make. Because it is also the same thing in our life. We don't know what's important and what's not important in life. We always fail. Whatever you think is important, usually is not important. That's the problem. One, a mature person is to understand that he needs to accept what HaKadosh Baruch Hu send each and every one of him b'hashgacha pratit. You ask for something from Ribono Shel Olam. You need to make your decisions based according to what is expected from you by God. He sent you what you ask for. Whether it's a job, whether it's a placement, whether it's a shidduch. That's why he sent you. Take it. Don't worry about it. Since you asked God to send it to you, He sends you what you asked. Now you're going to have doubts. Those doubts come from an impure source. If you would realize that came from Ribono Shel Olam, that came from God, that is the best thing you can get. Even though on paper, this might seem better than that, but since I asked God and He sent me that, there could not be anything better to me than that. That's realizing Ma'ikar u'matafel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends you a shidduch. You ask, Ribono Shel Olam, send me a shidduch, I want to marry. So He sends you a person. Chava, what do you want? He says to you. He says, I want. What do you guys want? Yirat Shamayim. You want her to be what?
Chesed.
Chesed. Tzanua. Terrific. What?
She raises the kids, educates the kids.
No. That you'll never. No, that's for her to raise the kids. That you're never going to get. And if that's what you're asking for, and you expect that you're going to sit home and smoke a cigar while she's busy raising the kids, let me tell you, do me a favor, don't get married. Raising the kids is going to take the two of you to do it. And I'm going to have news for you. You're going to be leading the spear and educating the kid. If you have one parent out of two, now I'm not talking about a situation when the other parent is not present physically for whatever reason, but we have two physical parents and only one educate the kids, got a big problem. We have a problem, Houston. It's a fact. That's why I don't like playing cards. For me, playing cards is something wrong with emunah, and I'll show you why. It's a practice of how not to be happy. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. You got your cards. God gave you those cards. First thing you do is what? You assess, why don't you like your cards? And all you do throughout the game is trying to get rid of what you get, trying to make things better. God gave it to you. You're going to make the best out of it. My suggestion to you, don't play cards. Each and every one of us has these two characters inside of him. One likes to do the good and right things. The other one would rather act in selfishness in order to choose what is good for him, for his pleasures right now. In order to be able to choose the good, we need to be aware of the struggle that happens inside of us. If you're not aware of this struggle happening inside of you, you're going to fail. But that's without a doubt. For example, we want to use our time in the most efficient way. We want to use our time the best way. But we like to postpone things to do it at a different time. For example, waking up in the morning. For example, doing your assignments on time. Taking care of your laundry on time. Doing everything you need to do on time. Changing your oil, cleaning your teeth, whatever you need to do. Don't do it some other time. We want to eat healthy. I'm going to go on a diet. I want to eat greens and raw food. And as soon as I said I want to eat raw food, I want to eat healthy, you feel like having a major burger with chocolate cheese with chocolate cake after that. You know, this big triple, whatever layers of chocolate dripping. You desire that. You didn't desire it before. As long as I want to do the right thing. Right away, there's a conflict. You need to be aware of that. When you're aware of things, you can actually take care of them. So, okay, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I know what to do about it. But when you don't know when you are unwilling to acknowledge this is happening, you're going to get hit. It's going to come your way. It's going to be either bang like this, gonna blow you out of your place, or you could say, okay, I know it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and then at perfect timing, you just sway out of the way. You know it's coming, gently. And if you're really good, you don't even have to move your hands. You just have to move your body, and it will flow away, and you'll be able to go on in life. That happens in each and every one of us all the time. You want to exercise. I'll exercise. I'll go on the treadmill, which you spend a lot of money on those key things that you got at home. You got a whole set of weights. You got it. You had a good intention. I just want to flip the channels a little bit. I want to see what's going on TV. Oh, I forgot. I need to check my email also. Maybe I got an email in the last 30 seconds. And don't worry, nobody sends you email. But I know, but just again, you're so happy even just to get some kind of a, trash email, some garbage. You don't even mind getting a spyware or some virus just to I got an email, That the conflict that happens in all of us all the time. But if you know it's coming, you say, no, I know. I would like to check the email. Okay, not a problem. I'll check the email after I exercise. I flip the channel on the TV after I exercise. If I would able to lose 50 pounds to treat myself, I get myself a chocolate cake if I still want it. If you ever had the doubt of keeping kosher or not keeping kosher, or you heard of people that had the doubt, as soon as they make the conscious decision to keep kosher, all of a sudden they crave spare ribs and shrimps, Diablo, and all this whatever is out there. You might have been a vegetarian, but once you decide to eat kosher, you just want to eat pig. That's the conflict inside of you. Our neshama desires to accomplish its potential. Our body, that at the end is going to turn into ashes, to dust, looks for the immediate gratification. The mind knows it's wrong. The body wants it now. We are junkies for pleasures. Remember, we developed that concept, MA. Our body desires eating. The neshama does not. Your body wants to eat all the time, especially if it's free. Oh, if it's free, we like it a lot. Sleeping, doing nothing, worrying. Sometimes we worry so much that it's convenient to us to worry. Sometimes we get ourselves depressed and so worried, so we become immobilized. Then you say, listen, I can't do anything, I'm so worried. I'm completely paralyzed. But there was an excuse. Really, you didn't want to do anything. You created such a worry so you'll be immobilized. No, that does not happen in our world. Look, for example, what is sometimes the biggest enemy, and that's going back to our vacation conversation, of a person. The biggest enemy that you can get is spending some quality time with yourself, first of all. You don't want to have quiet. You don't want to have quiet. You don't want to sit down and listen to yourself. You have to have music. You have to have, I love music. But there are times that I need quiet. There are times that I just like to hear the sounds of the wheels in the car going and the wind on the windshield without any radio, without anything. Just me and the road. Sometimes I just don't like to hear anything. That's why I love the desert. Because it's quiet. It's so quiet there that it's amazing. You come later on to the big city after you've been to the desert, you feel you are on a LSD trip. It's so much noise, you don't know what to do with yourself. You feel out of place. That's why people also go on vacation that offer them a lot of roller coasters and water parks and all these excitements that you will find in different boats and different outfits of entertainments. You don't want to go on a vacation to sit with your wife, looking at some scenery, the sun setting, or maybe some water, or maybe just nothing, just looking at the view. After you married 10, 20, 30 years, you don't want to sit there with your wife and hold her hand and tell her with all your heart that you really love her. And you don't want to do. You want the noise. You want the production. You want the free food, the buffets. Remember how much you enjoyed when you were just married or you just met? You used to go to these places to eat a falafel, looking at each other with such fire in your eyes. It's the best food you ever had. Today you would not take it unless you're going to get like a $60 steak. And it has to be with the whole production inside. And you have to turn off the light because you don't really want to look at her. Why? Why is that? What happened to you? What happened to your neshama? What happened to your soul? What happened to when you look at your wife after 30 years, you're going to say to her, you know what? I want to marry you now more than I did when I married you. Because you're afraid of silence. You're afraid of acknowledging your neshama. You are addicted to pleasures. When you're going to keep being a place of quiet, when you're going to be in a place of quiet, you're not going to hear the noise outside. You're going to hear the noise, the voice of your neshama speaking from inside of you. And you don't want to hear it. You need your cell phones all the time. You need to have internet on you all the time. So you're always going to be busy quieting down the noise that comes from your head, which is actually from your soul, is saying, please help me. I don't want to hear you. I don't hear anything. You hear anything? I don't hear anything. I have internet. Ooh, let's look at that. You don't want to hear that. What did you do 5 years ago before you had internet on your telephones? היה טוב, היינו יותר חכמים, and we were smarter. What happened? You want to tell me you have time for your wife when you're busy on your cell phone? It's ridiculous. I saw a couple. They were just very nice. They were very nice. They were sitting down and there was a beautiful scene, clouds and what they were doing. I thought it was so sad. They took both their telephones. They sit next to it. They're taking the picture. Would you put your telephone down? Put the telephone, hold the hand, look at her eyes and says, thank God we're together. Thank God we can share this. Our love is still burning like the sun. What are you taking pictures? Like two strangers. What's wrong with you? What happened to you? You quiet down. We have inside of you ruach shtut. Ruach shtut. You are immature. Sam. Another principle in Judaism that shows and indicates, this is quite a long, I didn't plan it to be so long, to indicate maturity, is doing things from happiness. Asiyah mitoch simcha. Doing things from happiness. You could do the same actions that you do, and by the way, the most meaningful things in life could be what you would say the most mundane, unimportant things in your life. For example, your kid is going to school in the morning. You slap on the peanut butter and jelly, which is terrific. I love peanut butter and jelly. You can go like this, or you can just do it b'simcha. Baruch Hashem, thank God. You have a kid, you have a son, you have a daughter. Start with that. Baruch Hashem, they got up in the morning. Think about all these people that don't have kids. Think about all these people that lost their kids. Now you have a kid, he got up in the morning. Thank God he gave you bread. He gave you peanut butter. How great is peanut butter? It's superfood. Jelly is sweet. You're preparing for your kid. How many more years would you have to do that? Do it b'simcha. You're cleaning your house for Shabbat. Why do you need a maid? You don't need a maid. You need a maid because you're lazy. You don't need a maid. Look at the joy of doing things. Cleaning up. Clean with your kids. Spend some quality time. Clean your house together. You don't have any time together. What are you teaching your kids by having a maid? That somebody else will do the dirty job. That in things like this, there's no joy. And simcha with little things like this. No, there is joy. When your kid, let's say, stays home, and you come from work, and you open the door, and you know how the house was when you left in the morning. You had dishes, and you had this, and there was a big balagan. You come in, you open the door, and it's like, whoa, you know, one of those movie things. And the house is clean, immaculate. And you tell your kid, I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you. At that moment, you reach heaven and earth. You taught your kid a lesson. You taught him to appreciate what you do for him or for her. That's why they did it to you. You told them that you care about them. They told you that they care about you. But you have a maid. You would skip this opportunity. That there is joy in doing something from someone, in cleaning after yourself. This is important also. If you're not going to find joy in little things like this, you're not going to find joy in anything. You need your LSD of joy. You need big production of joy. Won't you look at those little things? You could do things from agony, disgust, unwillingness, or you could do things with simcha, from joy. Just look at the fact again that you have a house. You have a place to sleep. Do you remember when you were a kid, you wanted your own house? You wanted a house, a little room, a little studio that is going to be yours. And now you have a house, and it's not good enough. What happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to your soul? That's what it means. V'asuli mishkan v'shachanti betocham. It has to be holy. One needs to understand that kedusha could come in little things. Holiness. So now we come to the second question. I'll make it quick. Why did they build the Mishkan? Or why did orders were given for the Mishkan to build it in such great detail? What do I need it? I'm going to take it and put it apart and roll it on the carts and move it from one place to another. there is a great remez, a hint, for our renewal, for our itchadshut. That all the time, you cannot expect all the time that things will stay the way they are. Things will change always. They'll never stay the same. If you think the steel, now you made it, you got a job, I call beseder. If you think that this is going to stay like this, you are wrong. Things change on a dime. And you should expect things changing. And you should know that every time you need to rebuild, you should give your best, and you should do it as best as you can. And every time the camp goes from one place to another, it should be as perfect as it was the first day you build it. Why? So you can go on. The fact that the Mishkan is being put together all the time and is on the cards, from a spiritual point of view, is always beautiful, is always shalem, it's always intact. So the fact that right now is on the cart is really zaniach. It's not really important. You could dismiss it. Technically, it's always built. So is in our lives, in our own personal lives. That sometimes there are times that we're going to be folded. We're going to be put on carts, and we're going to go from one place to another. That change is really dismissible. Why? Since we know that we have a plan, and we have the ability, and we have the education to continue to rebuild ourselves all the time. That has been the magic of the Jews. The ability to know that we can go back on the Torah. We have the blueprint. We have the ability and the education to rebuild. That, as far as you're concerned, it doesn't make a difference. Oh, today you're here, tomorrow you're there. I know what to do. That is the indication. And our last thing, it says, Vayikhu li Terumah instead of Vayitnu li, Vayikhu. And we said, what is the connection between giving Maaser and building Beit HaMikdash? Yitnu, when it says Yitnu, they should give, the remez, the hint is that they should give something of their own to me, because I'm the one who is lacking. When it says Vayikhu, and they should take, meramez al lekicha, take from something that was given to you already. Take from something that I gave you. Get used to giving. Get yourself used to the fact that what you are giving is not yours. It is mine. That is God's, right? In order for you to learn that everything that you have was given for you to God. That a person does have the ability to become a vessel of abundance, of shefa. He is the kli. You give because I gave you. You give tzedakah, you give maaser. In order to know that a person is able not only to become a vessel, but also to spread a shefa ruchani and shefa gashmi, the spiritual and physical abundance together. The Mishkan represents both physical with the gold and the silver, and the spiritual with the Shekhinah came inside. Giving from all your heart. Giving from all your heart. Because that's what it is. The nefesh mishtokeket. The soul desires to give. Our soul desires to give. Both physical and spiritual. Our job is to reveal the truth. What's the truth? To reveal the reality. She'Hashem hu ha'elokim. That God is God. How? Very simple. B'chanuni ga bezo. Test me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says on Maaser. Test me. I'm going to show you how there is God. Give Maaser, you'll become rich. That's my test. Say, you don't believe it, test it. People would see, man, how this guy became so rich? I gave Maaser. That's a testimony of Hashem. As much as the Mishkan had everything in it and everything has a place, in the Mishkan, so is a person needs to realize שהמשכן שקול כנגד כל העולם. The Mishkan is like the whole entire universe, and כנגד יצירת האדם, שהוא עולם קטן. That's Midrash Tanchuma said. That the world, Mishkan represents the world and represents a human being, that is a whole entire entity, a universe by itself. A person must sanctify himself, sanctify his house, Atzmo, Beito, his house, to sanctify any aspect of your life. Then the Shekhinah would come and dwell in everything that you do. Because it says, V'shachanti betocham, amongst them, not betocham, ela bekol asher lahem, in everything that they have. We should know that the Mishkan, the Ikar of the Mishkan, is not the krashim, is not the wood, is not the gold, is not the kilim. The Ikar of the Mishkan is Taharat Alev, the purity of the heart. Yehi Ratzon, may it be a will in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that He should help us becoming pure-hearted, spiritual. Our neshama should be clean. We should be appropriate to become a vessel to receive the Shekhinah inside of us. ובזכות זה נזכה, we should merit to be מקיים, וידעו כל עמי הארץ, כי השם הוא האלוקים. שבת שלום.